A new, powerful Tremor identity has been released into Limbus company. That identity is, of course, Saber from Fate, Zwei West Section 3 Ishmael. She's got a lot of interesting mechanics that make her a powerful identity, and in this video I want to go over what she can do and how you can use her Excalibur, unique block and powerful skills to win fights easily. We will go over the effects that Ishmael applies to herself and how they affect her. Then we'll go over her skills, including her brand new clashable guard. And after that, we'll look at how much value she can bring to a Tremor team with her abilities. However, before we start, I am obligated to tell you that only a fraction of my viewers are actually subscribed, so it would be gladly appreciated if you subscribe to my channel. With Season 5 around the corner, you will want to make sure not to miss my new uploads if you want to stay up to date with all the new content in Limbus company. Without further ado, let's get back to our night. Zwei Ishmael is built around defense level up and Tremor, so to better understand the inner machinations of this identity, I want to go over these two effects. Starting with Tremor, you should be familiar with the basics of the effect by now, but here's a quick recap. When hit by Tremor Burst, a character with Tremor has the stagger threshold raised by Tremor potency, and at the end of the turn, the count lowers by 1. Defense level up, however, is a lot less intuitive. Defense and offense levels impact both the clash power and the damage of skills. However, these levels only affect gameplay when compared to the enemy's levels, so there's no simple number increase. Generally, when using a defense skill against an enemy attack, it will gain 1 clash power per 3 points of difference between your character's defense level and the enemy's offense level. This means that if Ishmael builds up a lot of defense level up, which is something she does all the time, the final power of her block rises drastically. The second effect of defense level up allows Ishmael to take less damage from enemy attacks. The calculation I've seen people use to explain how the damage difference works exactly is this. And I can't really check if it's true, so we'll assume that it is, considering that it's everywhere. With this calculation, we can see that if Ishmael's defense level is higher than the attacking enemy's offense level by 1, she takes 3% less damage. Every point of difference after that gives slightly diminishing returns, and 10 points of difference result in 28% damage reduction, while 20 points of difference result in 44% damage reduction, and so on. Effectively, when I start talking about defense level up application later, treat it as damage reduction plus clash power for the unique block. Now let's go over Ishmael's skills. Immediately her first skill draws aggro to her next turn and gives her up to 3 defense level up from Tremor count on Ishmael. The skill also gains 1 base power for every 4 defense level up to 2. This allows Ish to clash with her first skill at 13 power, which isn't great. The coins of the skill give Ishmael a total of 4 defense level up and inflict a total of 2 Tremor count, which is actually pretty nice. Ishmael's second skill is a lot stronger though, as at 4 defense level up it clashes at 19 power. It has the same on-use effects as her skill 1, but all the numbers are higher. Ishmael gets 5 aggro next turn, and can get up to 5 defense level up from Tremor count on self. Also, on clash win with the skill, she gets 3 Tremor count. The coins of Ishmael's second skill have some pretty nice effects. The first one inflicts 4 Tremor, and the second one gives Ish 4 defense level up next turn. The third coin of the skill inflicts Tremor equal to half the Tremor count on Ishmael, up to 4, and inflicts 1 attack power down at 8 defense level up on Ishmael. Can't Let You Through is a very solid skill, with its good clash power, good defense level up application, nice Tremor infliction and a potent debuff. But it's far from Ishmael's best skill. Meet Ward, Zwei Ishmael's skill 3. Initially, the unbuffed power of the skill is similar to that of her skill 2, however in the right hands it's very different. When Ishmael uses Ward, she gains up to 5 defense level up, much like with her second skill. She also gets 10 aggro next turn, drawing a lot of attention to herself. If Ish is in defensive stance, Ward deals 70% more damage. What is defensive stance? We'll get there a bit later, just you wait. Ward gains 1 coin power for every 4 defense level up on Ishmael, up to 4. With 16 defense level up, Ward clashes at a whopping 29 power, and after easily winning a clash with such a powerful skill, Ishmael gets 3 Tremor count. The first 2 coins of the skill simply inflict a total of 4 Tremor. The third one, however, does a lot more than that. On hit, it consumes all Tremor count on Ishmael and then inflicts it as Tremor potency on the enemy. This effect maxes out at 20 Tremor. All the excess Tremor then gets converted into additional damage for the count. At 1 Tremor count for 5% more damage, up to 50%. This means that every Tremor count past 30 is effectively wasted with this skill, so try to keep that in mind when setting up big wards. After doing all that, the Queen also triggers Tremor Burst and lowers the target's Tremor count by 1. In defensive stance, this process is repeated. And now that we're familiar with Ishmael's offense, let's move on to what the Zwei association is really known for: their defense. Ishmael has a unique block as her defensive skill. It's called a clashable guard, or power guard, when chaining. Much like the name implies, unlike a normal guard, your shield actually clashes against the enemy's coins, and behaves like an offensive skill. When chaining your shield, Ishmael gets 2 stacks of defensive stance, and I guess now is the time to introduce you to this effect. Defensive stance is a unique buff that only stacks in duration, and maxes out at 2 stacks. At the end of the turn, the stack goes down by 1. While Ishmael has any amount of defensive stance, she gets the following effects. Her speed is set to 4, which is her lowest speed value. All of Ishmael's slots gain a total of 10 aggro. If Ishmael has multiple slots, the 10 aggro is spread evenly among them. In focused encounters, Ishmael can force clashes with enemies regardless of their speed. And here are the most fun effects. On every clash win, she triggers Tremor Burst without lowering the enemy's Tremor count. And while defensive stance is active, Ishmael is flat out immune to damage stagger. Now back to the guard itself. When you use your shield, Ishmael uses it to clash with the enemy's skill. If you win the clash, you raise the enemy's stagger threshold by the skill's final clash power. This is akin to bursting Tremor, but the potency of the effect is your clash power. If you lose the clash, it's still not over. The one and only coin of the skill is a new unbreakable coin. On clash lose, this coin is used again, but its value is set to just 1. With how the power guard works, when Ishmael loses a clash, her coin gets reused at 1 power, and the total amount of her base power plus 1 is then deducted from every attack of the skill that won the clash. In short, Ishmael normally takes 4 less damage from an attack after losing a clash to it with your shield. This number can be increased with effects like defense power up and clash power up. But it's not affected by level disparity and resonance, meaning that inflating the guard number with defense level up is impossible. This already sounds like a strong skill, but I haven't talked about how it benefits Tremor yet. On use, Ishmael gains 10 Tremor count, but only once per turn. This obviously helps her set up that powerful 20 Tremor ward. When winning a clash with your shield, she also triggers Tremor Burst. In fact, she does so twice, once from the skill itself and once from the defensive stance. Neither burst consumes Tremor count, which is fantastic. The only thing that's left for me to read out to you is Ishmael's passive, and even here she does not disappoint. At combat start, Ishmael gets defense level up equal to Tremor count on self, up to 5. The effect is doubled when she's in defensive stance. This makes hitting the 29 power ward much easier, as Ishmael will keep up her defense level up even if you're going for a lot of guards. The one problem is the cost of the passive, as the 5 pride resources are likely to be eaten up by Cavernous Wailing and Everlasting in Tremor teams. But even then, if you try to get Ish online, you will. With all of this, you could probably figure out that Ishmael is really strong. But how do you make the most out of her? Well, let's list her strong sides. Ishmael has incredible Tremor infliction, while also having a huge amount of free Tremor bursts. She's also a highly potent clasher, with your shield easily reaching over 20 clash power. So obviously you should be using her to make the most out of Tremor reverb. Ishmael's ability to inject 24 Tremor into an enemy instantly and follow up with 2 bursts allows her to jumpstart reverb damage teams quite well. In the long run, Ishmael also gets to trigger 2 free bursts every single turn, which allows her to deal huge damage once you have a decent reverb stack without putting any pressure on Tremor count. Another thing that Ishmael does well is playing solo. She's not going to deal that much damage, as her output is largely rooted in reverb, but she can win a lot of fights literally on her own, just because she cannot be staggered. She's not quite a Wild Hunt Heathcliff, but a new player can definitely use her to beat a lot of the game's stages. I feel like Ishmael is also quite a good candidate for additional slots when playing Tremor. Swapping out one of the Rodions for a second Ishmael slot might yield better results due to how good her shield can be, but I might be taking it too far with this. If you have any fun ideas on how to use Ishmael, make sure to leave them in the comments. And this will conclude my analysis of Zwei Ishmael. To be completely honest, I mainly made this video to explain defense levels, because the game does a very poor job of doing that. Also, considering that Canto 7 will likely be all about knights and vampires, we might get a lot more Zwei identities, with one of them already being teased. By the way, a second Zwei Sinclair hitting the banners is really funny. I guess the best way to curb power creep is to re-release identities. Thank you for watching until the end, and if you found yourself enjoying the video at any point, leave a like to let me know. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. This was Ultranum, and I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye!